All right, let's see if this is any better, man. What is going on, everybody, man? We welcome back, Rhode Island High School football, man. What a great week 3. We had Emerson Kilgore hopping on, but I just couldn't have no sound from him. So I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna send Emerson a whole nother link. So I'll see if that works. But man, what a week of high school football we have had. Let me know if you have sound. Just leave a comment in the comment section. Um, Hopefully we can hear Emerson. I know the audience can hear him, but I just have trouble hearing him. I mean, there's a way that I could do it. I just got to send a link to myself and come on that way as like a third party. Um, and we'll see what happens. But what a week of Rhode Island High School football, man! We got some scores. Friday Night Lights was where it was at, man. Friday the 27th, man, has some great games. I was posted up at the Westerly game watching that Portsmouth Patriots game. What a game that was right there. But Bishop Hendricken and Greenwich, Hendricken fell 20-21. Mount Hope, man. Shout out to my man Shane Parker up there, Mount Hope. I'm just waiting to see if we're waiting for Emerson to get in here. I just sent him another link. Let's see, I just sent him another link. So let me just make sure we have sound. Test, test, test. All right, yep, there we go. Making sure we have sound, man. But what is going on? Mount Hope is definitely doing what I didn't think they could. They're building a program over there. So Mount Hope 20-0 over EG. Classical, I got something to say about Coach McCall as well. Classical steamrolls over Charahoe. Now let's just hope Coach McCall is honest about putting the right stats in because we hear it every year, man. Coach McCall, injury fund stats, and that just screws it up. Like they even tell you, don't put your preseason games on the max preps because you screw everything the F up. And every year, classical, it ain't the kids' fault, but the coaching always puts the preseason stats into max preps, and it screws shit up to all hell and back. Let me see if I can get Coach Emerson another link. Let me see, copy. Let's see. Yeah, so I just sent him another link for this. I think Coach Piver is also gonna be stopping in. Oh, but maybe wait a minute. Yeah, we're gonna wait for Coach Piver to get up here as well. What do you think about this weekend, man? The Portsmouth game, I think was pretty lit. But while I set this up, if you haven't had a chance to go check out what Coach Washington's doing, go over there and check that out. It's on Team Dollar TV over on YouTube, and it's basically a documentary series. It's definitely pretty lit. Go check that out. Pull up these scores back. Yeah, Charahoe falls to classical. Not surprised at all. Charahoe's Coach Slammer, a Westerly alumni. Great player, but you're not. It's just going to be tough for him to get Charahoe rolling. Having trouble getting the kids and so on. We got no weaker generations. Kids just are not strong anymore. They ain't tough. They don't want to play football. Has blocked your screen. Click the screen icon, address the bar. Y'all can see me, right? Yeah, it looks that way. Shea and Middletown. Shea picking up their first win in a long ass time, I believe. Shout out to Shea beating Middletown 32-21. Middletown looks like they in a rebuilding. Yeah, shout out to Middletown. Everything they're doing over there. Central and Barrington, man. Central picks up a much needed win. I even put, because I do some sports articles now for Newsbreak, and you have to go check that out. But I put that Central High School, this was a desperately needed win. And it was. They desperately needed the win because if y'all know, we're going into RPI, a point system now. So, shout out to Coach Insco over there at North Smithfield, which they had a big win against EWG, their first win in D4. And I know some changes are coming to that program. They're getting some kids back from injury, but we'll definitely get to that. Actually, that's the next game that's up. But Central and Barrington basically falling off. Another rebuilding year for Barrington. A lot of people seen this coming. Sandy Gorham said, we're not going to have a team, but he says that every year. So it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf with Coach Gorman. Salute to him. Last memory I have Gorman of Sandy Gorham is him just beating the bloody crap out of Coach Lima in the Super Bowl last season. EWG Co-op, man, their graduating team graduated last season, and now it's time to build your own program, Coach Stringfellow. Now you have to bring the kids in. You were basically riding we have about I thought I already sent him a link, but hang on, I gotta send Emerson a link. I just having so many problems with this shit since the grandson was back here and he just kind of screwed up shit. All right, yep, this is a different link. All right. So my grandson was back here and he screwed up shit and now hopefully this works. I see Emerson's in the building, so hopefully I can hear him because there we go. Emerson, what's up, man? What's going on?
Mike, how you doing?
I can hear him, and I'm sure everyone else can hear him too. I was telling everybody how my grandson screwed up all my shit over here, and
Yeah.
what it is,
Yeah.
But we've been talking about some of these scores, Bishop Hendricken gets beat by an out-of-state team. Again, they step out of state, they get beat 21-20. Mount Hope turning it around, man, beating EG 20-0. Someone needs to bring Mount Hope some donuts for picking up, the shutout over there. That's traditional. Your team gets a shutout. Everyone in the community should bring donuts to the school. I brought some last week, Wesley, but I can't go to every area. Classical, shout out to the kids at Classical, man, 49-0. Charahoe's just going to have a hard time rebuilding that program. It is what it is. Middletown, who just went through a couple years of dominance. Rest in peace, Coach Art Bell. Middletown falls to Shea. Shea picks up a victory, man. I know they were dancing in the streets over there. 32-21. And Central, man. Central, they're not the same Central team as they once were. They're trying to get a new identity, but they came in and they picked up a desperately needed win. And I write for Newsbreak now for Rhode Island High School, and I wrote an article and I said, and that's what I titled it, Central desperately needed the win, and I sent it to Coach Washington. I thought he was going to get in his feelings a little bit, but he said facts. He said we're not the same program we were. City schools are having an issue.
And just to add to that, I mean, when you have the issues that that these city schools are having, And I have nothing but respect for all these head coaches here that are doing the best they can and have very limited resources. These schools are doing what they can, and yes, I'm very happy for Central. Because I have no Coach Washington for a while. I know he's trying to get done there. I think he's a great coach, and he's doing what he needs to do. So I'm glad they got the victory. I wish them continued success here and just build from there. I had the opportunity to officiate one of their games, and it kind of was like off again, on again. Like they would do well, then they kind of stutter a little bit, and then just kind of kept going. But I'm glad they did what they need to do and got the victory there.
No, absolutely. Shout out to Coach Washington and his staff and what they are doing. But yeah, it's not easy, compete with these schools in and out. And Mike Washington will always tell you, I want to play the best, so he's doing it. I mean, he is doing it, but I was looking at the rankings the other day, and they're just they're crazy because you have teams with better records, like I said was going to happen. You're going to have teams with much better records that are not going to make the playoffs because teams that just played better teams, they won. And it's going to be a lot of that with the RPI.
Right. Well, I feel the strength of schedule. I mean, there is some merit to that. I mean, if you're playing better teams, you should be ranked a little bit higher than if you played lower ranked teams. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. And I get what you're saying, but if you're playing the better competition, winning or losing, like you still have to be considered one of the upper echelon teams because you are playing that better competition. So it's going to be an interesting mix this year. I know some of these teams are going to have better records and, are going to, there's going to be an interesting decision on who makes the playoffs here. But ultimately, that's just how the game is played.
Absolutely. Now, you've been officiating, working hard. What are some things that you noticed that you are happy about that you see on the field?
Well, one of the things I'll definitely say is that there hasn't been any major issues. Obviously, I'm the umpire, so I know how it is. Not only have I played, I've coached, but now I'm officiating. I know how it is on the offensive defensive line. Things get a little chippy. For the most part, coaches and players have gotten under control. I really haven't had to step in and warn anybody. I usually warn, then I throw. I'll throw a flag from there. Usually after the one warning, everyone's like, okay, let's not play around here and just play solid football. I mean, I just had the game yesterday, Pontiac and Cranston East. I know both coaching staffs. I've worked with a lot of the players on the team, and for the most part, things were okay. I mean, yes, again, it's football. There's going to be, every once in a while, there's a hit or stuff like that someone's not going to like. I definitely understand that, but again, that is part of the game. But ultimately, I feel that football is just being played. There's no drama. There's no nonsense. There's just been some good solid football that I've seen so far.
Now on Twitter right now, it just said, because we're streaming on Twitter, we have Coach Piver in agreement. We'll bring him up in a minute. But on Twitter, someone just said that Pontiac Cranston East game was calmer for Coach Cook what he did to EWG during the Super Bowl. Was it that bad of a game? Did Cranston East lose? Was Donald that much more dominant?
So yes, Cranston East did lose. So to Pontiac's credit, they're very much experienced. Obviously that's Coach Cook's previous team. Yes, there were a little bit of words, but I shut that down personally. Coaches did come to me and expressed, there was some words being said, so that has no place in football. So I did calm that down immediately, and that was fine. But one thing I'm going to say about Cranston East is this is Coach Cook's first year. Okay, and yes, I don't remember what the score was, but it was
35-6, I think. 30-something.
Yeah, I forgot because I've been dealing with a lot since then. This is Coach Cook's first year. They're young in a lot of areas. I think that Coach Cook needs about a year or so to really get things turned around. And again, I mean, Coach Cook's resume speaks for itself. I mean, no one should be critical of Coach Cook right now. He's taking over a program that definitely needs some work, and he's working on it right now. I mean, those kids played their butts off, Cranston East. And again, I know a lot of them through, the work I've done previously with programs I've had, and they're good kids, they're hardworking kids. And to be honest with you, within another year or two, things are going to turn around there. You have to take your lumps. That's how it is in football. You're going to take your lumps your first year. New coach, new system. Honestly, kids literally playing high school football for the very first year. They're going to do what they need to do right now. But I give Coach Cook about a year or so, and then I will definitely expect to see 500 record, and then contender for playoffs and things like that. Like I have all faith in Coach Cook to get that done.
Now I know you have to run soon, but another game I wanted to talk to you about was Coach Pennington, West Warwick Wizards, played Tolman, beat Tolman 48-0, and we're going into week 3, and teams are still picking against the Wizards. Is Coach Pennington and the Wizards, are they a contender in Division 2?
So Coach Pennington would respect what I'm about to say. Everyone is kind of sleeping on them. It's kind of like David and Goliath. Coach Pennington is definitely Dave. I had the pleasure of officiating their game versus East Providence, and they're a very physical bunch. And one thing I will tell you is the one thing you should not do is sleep on West Warwick. They have the size, they have the speed. Coach Pennington knows what he's doing, and they can execute. They're a physical bunch. They're not really flashy. They're not really. They're gonna pound the ball. They're gonna really kind of, they're gonna play physical. And honestly, knowing how I know, football in Rhode Island over the years, West Warwick was always known as a physical team. Always, ever since I was in high school. Okay, they were always known as a physical team. Those are years where they were in Super Bowls. And again, there was no playoffs. It was just Super Bowls. They were definitely with that. I know they'd won it a couple times, and or finished in 2, and they lost in the Super Bowl, but they were still contenders there. So Coach Pennington's really bringing that atmosphere back. It would not be wise to bet against him. He's doing very well. I love what he's done with the program. I've worked with some of their young men. They're definitely a reflection of him and how he coaches. But yeah, I would not sleep on West Warwick. They're definitely a physical team, and they know how to get the job done.
All right, and officiating, since we have an official on, has there any new rule changes this year? Now, a lot of some of the administrations, which you already covered, the foul language, but they say there should be a zero policy, zero tolerance. Once they start throwing the N-word around or talking disrespectful to other people. But besides that, are there any other changes that coaches should know, should be on warning about?
No, mostly everything's been the same. Nothing. Only thing that's really changed is how the officials are positioned on the kickoff. That's changed a little bit. That's more for us than anything else there. But aside from that, not really. There isn't really much there. I think from what I've seen so far, the coaches have done a really good job of calming all that drama down. I have not had to deal with that as yet. And again, I'm a football guy. I know what happens on the offensive, defensive line. Yeah, there's going to be some chippiness, as I said earlier, but once I warn them, it's like, okay, things are done, and then we really go from there. So I'm not really that concerned. Again, I know as the season goes along, obviously with the bigger games, playoff contention, things like that, obviously things will get a little bit more chippy, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, I think all these coaches are doing a really solid job of, keeping the emotions in check and just playing solid football.
All right, Emerson, man. You can find him at 401 Strength and Fitness over on the 400 block of Warwick Avenue, man. What's going on at the gym? Anything you want to tell the people?
We're getting, I'm starting to get some more winter teams in. I'm going to be talking to some of these coaches. I plan on doing a camp type of workout here. So I'm working out the young men and getting them some of these camps around New England. And yes, I will be saying, I'll be working with some other universities. I won't get into who right quite now, but I'm trying to do my best to get as many of these kids in this area exposed to as many football teams as possible. So I got my work cut out for me, but looking forward to the challenge.
All right, Emerson, man. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Bye bye.
Piver up in the building. What's up, Jeff?
What's going on? How we doing?
Slow motion better than no motion, but happy to be here. Happy to be doing another podcast where I could hear you.
There you go.
You know,
That's a
yeah,
bonus.
my grandson was back here. Yeah, I don't know what he did, but he did something. He said, no podcast today, Papa. You know,
I know how that
congratulations on the win.
Thanks. We'll certainly take it. It wasn't the prettiest of wins, but we'll take it.
Hey, a win is a win. You know, you got to take them however you can get them.
Yep.
Well, to a point anyway, man. But what's going on up in North Smithfield?
We're really excited about this group of kids that we have. You know, there's a ton of potential. Right now, that's what it is. It's potential. We see flashes of good things. Everywhere we look, it's first year players and freshmen and sophomores out there helping on the varsity level. So mistakes happen. Lots of mistakes have been happening, but they're getting it.
Black, they want to know where's Black. When's he coming back? When's your quarterback coming back?
He's back. He played last week.
Back.
He just played the other night. He had a nice night for himself.
And I know he was talked about all last season as being one of the better quarterbacks in Rhode Island High School. And that's basically an honor to be brought up. You know, you got Jelinas, you got Husaro, you got Tashid Brown over there at St. Ray's. I mean, I'm sure with him returning, he's going to be mentioned amongst some good quarterbacks that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I would hope so. It certainly would be well deserved. The kid's different. He's just built different. He's ultra competitive. He's a really good leader, and he just makes good decisions and gets the ball out on time and puts it in some good spots. And like I don't know how else to describe him. He's different, and he's a difference maker for us. Our offense is going to be a little different with him back in there.
Oh, I believe so. You know, I believe so. And I knew when I heard he was going to be out a couple of weeks, I said, oh, that stinks, you know, because he seemed like he was a team leader, you know, and we had a team leader in Cole Vowles, you know what I mean, who was doing good things. Kerrigan, you had a lot of great team leaders since you took over Coach Patterson.
Yeah, we've been blessed since I've been here. Our quarterback room has been really, really good. It started with Jack Pachetti. He kind of came in with me, and then after that, it was Cole Vowles, and then it's been Ben Black. So in the almost 10 years, I've only had 3 quarterbacks that I've had to kind of bring up. So all those guys have all started as sophomores, so they've all been like 3-year quarterbacks. So it's been kind of nice. And I've been blessed. Not everybody gets lucky like that to have the next guy kind of roll in.
The only one I see is Barville. Like they're phenomenal, and I give all that credit to Coach Jelinas. Like he's been developing, and Coach Ferraro too. But Coach Jelinas just has been developing quarterbacks.
Yep.
Going back to Jake, I tell people Jake put up 73 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. And they're like, no, go look it up. That kid was phenomenal. And now his younger brother, Logan, is playing just as good, is throwing just as good as a football as his older brother did.
Possibly a little bit better. Like, I think he throws the ball a little bit better. The older brother could boogie and run on us. That he was a killer with his feet.
And the younger bro, like, and what I noticed about Logan and what I hear from him, he's a film rat. He watches a lot of film, and that's what you need to do if you want to make it to that elite level, because you could tell who watches film and who don't watch film. You're like, how'd you miss that play?
Yeah,
that's a play. You know, we know where that play's going. How did you miss?
Yeah, no question.
How film is important.
Yep.
How important is film?
And it's super important, and you know, it usually separates the top of the top from the okay guys. You know, I know as a coach what it means to us, but I watched my son use film to make himself really, really good, and I know we have Ben is all about the film. Ben sends me the film breakdown of his opinions and all that stuff before I even get to dive into it. So our guy's on it.
That's what you want. You know what I mean? You want a leader, a motivator. Is he one of the captains?
He is. He
Good.
is. He was a captain for us, even though there was potential he was never going to play a snap for us this year. It was a no-brainer. He was a captain for us.
Good. Now, I know you pay attention to a lot what's going on around the league, man. Have you checked out any of the games from this past weekend?
We try. I haven't seen anything from this weekend yet. I usually kind of do that on Sundays. I usually pull up whatever games I can find and kind of have it on my phone as I'm watching NFL games.
Flying
But
down the highways.
yeah, I'm guilty of that at times too. So
I think we all
I'll start diving into some of that stuff to see, what was streamed and what wasn't, and I'll get into all that stuff.
well, some scores will go over. Mount Hope puts the shutout up on EG. Classico shuts out Charahoe. Shea picks up a win against Middletown, and some people called it. This was not going to be Middletown's year. They were blessed to have a couple of great seasons, but not everybody can reload. Sometimes, I mean, not everyone can rebuild. Sometimes you have to reload.
I know all about that.
And it's really tough. But shout out to Coach Kessler. And you was one of the coaches to send condolences to Art Bell. So shout out to you for that. Central not having the year, and you might have caught what me and Emerson were talking about. They're just having trouble getting guys onto the city schools.
Yep.
They beat Barrington 14-6.
That's a good win for them.
Yes, absolutely. And I wrote the article for Newsbreak, and I said Central desperately needed that win, and they absolutely did with the RPI percentage. Division I, everyone makes the playoffs this season, so I think it's the RPI. I don't know if it matters except for seeding in Division I. But North Kingstown picks up their victory. Smithfield beats Tollgate 42-7. West Pennington and the Wizards over Tolman 48-0. East Providence shuts out Mount Pleasant, another city school that is struggling. Cumberland Falls to, I'm not sure who it was, but I think it's Rehoboth, RMHS. So they played out of state, but they lose 29-22. And what a game between West and Portsmouth, man. Great game. Shout out to Portsmouth pulling it out at the end. St. Ray's beating up on Cranston West 28-13. And I think St. Ray's looks like one of the most complete teams that we have right now in Rhode Island.
Yeah, they're looking good, but that's a pretty good effort out of Cranston West too.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Cranston West is going to be hanging around in the end of that when the season's all.
What I noticed about that game, Tasheed Brown, a sophomore, playing great football, but it looked like going into halftime, he was kind of looking like a sophomore young quarterback. They bring in Nelson Martinez, and the kid was able to hustle, looked phenomenal out there, give St. Ray's the first score of the game. And then after halftime, they go back to Tasheed Brown. So I think there might be a quarterback controversy brewing over there with two quality quarterbacks.
Maybe. I doubt it. My guess is that's just a little bit of good coaching, right? You see a young sophomore quarterback struggling, sit him down a little bit, light a fire, and send them back out there. If it was a quarterback controversy, they probably wouldn't have sent them back out there, right? And then you would have had the quarterback controversy. But they went right back to it.
Great to have two good quarterbacks on your program. I mean, shouldn't we all be that lucky?
That's always the goal, isn't it?
Absolutely. And North Providence beats Central Falls. So that was 28-22. That was the final score from Saturday's or Friday night's games. So we had some good games Friday night, all weekend.
Yeah. It looked like that Westerly game is the game of the week.
That was an awesome game, back and forth. And it looked like Portsmouth was going to lose by 1 again.
Yeah.
Westerly's driving in. They get to the 7-yard line. They fumble.
Oh,
At that point, there's like maybe a minute and change left. Portsmouth drives down the field, scores with like 30 seconds left on the game clock. Wasn't much Westerly could have done about that. But I was happy to see Portsmouth get a win. I think they scored a touchdown at the end of the Cranston West game that they didn't get. They won. They lost the last 3 games by 1 point. So I was kind of happy to see them. I was sad for Westerly because that's a lot of points. You're playing a D1 team, and everyone knows RPI. That's what it's about now. You get a better record than the next guy. That don't mean you're gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, that would have been a big win against the Division I team.
Speaking of playing up, Blake Simpson over down in Division III plays Burrville. Burrville 43-21 comes out on top. But I give Blake a lot of credit for having the balls to go out there and pull the switch and play a D1 school.
Well, I think that's what this system sets up. If you're confident in what you have, and have the ability to potentially absorb a week where you don't garner any points, you can play up. And Blake, even though he might not have gotten points this week, his team got better because they played a good team. So yes, they might not have scored the points that they intended or wanted, but they got better this week for it.
It was worth the gamble.
Right.
Some people say yes, some people say nay. But shout out to Blake. I think he's playing one socket as well, so he's going to play up to Division II. And a lot of coaches didn't want to hear no part of that. They're like, "Nah, we're going to stay right here." And that's where
we did.
I don't blame you.
We're strictly Division IV schedule. I didn't see the benefit necessarily of stretching ourselves to a point where that it wasn't beneficial to us. I mean, in our situation, we're in Division IV. 8 out of the 10 teams make the playoffs. So taking a stretch to try to jump a team doesn't necessarily do us any good. So we stayed with a strictly D4 schedule.
Right now, Coventry happened. They lost to Moses Brown this weekend, 21-30. The week before, they beat Tolman by 1. And that playing Tolman, this is how crazy the RPI is. That had enough to give Coventry the number 1 team in Division II as far as the rankings.
Yeah, it's still too early to worry about where you are.
But I think if we start looking at it now, maybe we can understand it by the time the playoff comes. Because people are like, I don't understand this. I'm like, how are these points? How are we doing it? So,
that's all gonna flip flop and change 10 times before the season's over. It's a good way to kind of test and gauge your understanding on stuff, but it's still too early.
Well, let's take a look at some of these standings. I think I have Division I up here right now. It'll just take me a minute to get it up on the screen, but it has St. Ray's up there leading the pack in Division I. Who was after St. Ray's? I think it was. Let me pull it up. Can you see that?
Yep, if I squint.
Not you, but it's on the screen, right? Okay. You got St. Ray's in first place with 8.2 points, 3-0. Then behind them you have Bishop Hendricken, 2-1 with 7 RPI points, and then LaSalle comes in third, Cranston West fourth, Central with 1 division win and 1 loss is in 5th place. You have Burrville that's playing lights out football right now, that are down in 6th place with 4.5 points. And then you got Cumberland, Portsmouth, NK, and Barrington taking up the ass end of that. So that's your Division I.
Yep.
Basically rankings. Let's see what we have for D2. SK is ahead, and then West Warwick in 2nd place right now. And this is how the rankings really are. Like, for better or worse, these are your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th place teams in Rhode Island as we speak. Coventry holding on to number 3, with 3.3 points. Moses Brown with 3.2. Lincoln, and you got Tolman in 6th, Woonsocket in 7th, Shea, Westerly in 9th, which is kind of crazy because I think Westerly, SK are the two better teams, and then you got West Warwick, and I'm not sure after that in Division 2. East Providence in 10, Middletown 11, and Mount Pleasant coming in last.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd be willing to put anybody above West Warwick at this point.
I mean, it is, yeah.
We
They're
had a
playing very
joint
good football.
we had a joint practice with them, and they've got some guys. They got some dudes. Branch is special. Swanson is a top line receiver, and the quarterback does a really good job of understanding the offense and understanding the game and putting the ball in the right spots. He's not going to make a lot of mistakes. So when you cook those ingredients up, it usually comes out to be a pretty good formula for Wes. West Warwick will be there at the end in Division 2.
Say what we want to say about Pilgrim, but as of right now, as of September 29th, Pilgrim is the number 1 team in Division 3. Followed by Classical, then Pono, Rogers, Mount Hope, North Providence, Charahoe, Johnson, and EG.
Yep.
That's about
right.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's about right. I'll tell you that Mount Hope team is a lot better than people expected at the beginning of the season.
Shout out to Shane Parker, man. Shane Parker doing a great job.
For sure. We took that game at the end of last year in like the playoff weeks as like an extra game. And I was super, super impressed. And they had basically just about everybody coming back from last year's team. So that Mount Hope team is going to be like scrappy good. I'm kind of rooting for those guys this year.
Yeah, shout out to Shane Parker, coaching good football up there in a tough place to win. Rogers, I am so impressed with Rogers. Playing phenomenal football. They're also undefeated this season. Yep. So, these divisions are looking pretty good. The only thing I didn't like was a couple things like, like everyone else, Narragansett in 4, Cumberland in 3, and we look at Division 4, and as of right now, as of September 29th at 12:30 p.m., Scituate was the number 1 team in Division 4, followed by Davies, Narragansett, Tiverton, North Smithfield picking up the top 5 spot, Smithfield in 6th, Togate, and EWG picking up the last spot.
Yep. It's going to be a pretty competitive division in Division 4, I think, when all's said and done. I think Davies had a lot of guys coming back, minus their stud, right? Rose graduated, who was an amazing player for them. But we saw him in week 1, and they've got playmakers on the outside. They've got a nice, talented little running back, and they do a lot of things that are deceptive, and everything's misdirection, and like they do a really, really good job of getting their players the ball in space. So Davies is playing really good football. They jumped up and beat Narragansett last week. And that Juanita team that we played in week 2, they're tough as nails, right? They are hard-hitting, tough kids. There's only about 29 of them, just like us. And, it was a war of attrition, but they're tough kids, and their running back was spectacular the night they played us. We had a tough time getting them on the ground. So like Davies and Juanita and Narragansett, yeah, I expect them. And I said going in, Scituate was my favorite to be near the top of Division 4 this year. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me either.
And shout out to Scituate, for coming where they came from, being, from the Derek D'Souza days, where they were at that point. This guy comes in, and in a couple seasons, which it's gonna take, a small program, tough to get kids. You got Pono up there grabbing everybody and their aunt and uncle, and for Scituate, I think they have a senior heavy team right now. So shout out to Scituate, but
Yeah.
Division 4 could be wide open right now.
Situate, and Tiverton are both super senior heavy. So they're both Super Bowl or bust type of teams. I'm not sure about some of the others in terms of where they have a lot of like sophomores or juniors or whatever. I know we're not senior heavy. We've only got a couple, so we like where we are right now, and if we can try to figure out how to win, we'll make it super super competitive this year, and next year is going to be a lot of fun for us too.
Someone said, Mike, I don't understand the RPI. I said, well, take the first three numbers and think of it as a dollar amount. So you have Situate with $1.89. You know what I mean? And then you have the last place team, EWG, with 58 cents.
Yep.
and that's how you kind of put it in your head to figure it out. But this is how close Division 4 is. You go 189 in points and down to the last team. None of you guys are over 2 points. So everyone's between 0.58 and 189.
We've all kind of beat up on ourselves. I think everybody's kind of played everybody really tough. Like EWG's sitting down there on the bottom, and I'll tell you firsthand, they're better than that. We played them this past week, and they're really tough up front, and they've got a couple of kids who run the ball really hard. They're going to find a few wins this year. EWG won't be on the bottom. They've started off playing a tough schedule. I just think it's going to be pretty competitive.
I think this is what Stringfellow, the lesser Stringfellow, I think he gets a chance to realize what it's like to build his own program, because what he came out of a team that, that was basically that Super Bowl team that went against Pano, and they stayed together. So now you have a fresh crop of kids. So let's see what you can do with them.
I was impressed.
Them, coach them, build them, So let's hope you're right.
I was impressed.
Let's hope you are right, man. But overall, man, it looks good in Rhode Island high school football, man. Smithfield, we need some more wins. I think you guys are gonna do it. I think you guys are gonna have some good wins going forward with getting your quarterback back. You're gonna see how maybe one guy can't make a team, but one guy can break a team.
Well, I got to give Tyler Bratcher, our sophomore, who stepped in, a whole lot of credit. He played really, really good football the first 2 weeks, and if Ben hadn't come back, we were totally comfortable staying with Ty. Talented kid, but we got Ben back. It's going to change some of the things we do. And we're not experienced or talented enough to look forward and say, "Yep, this is a win. This is a win. This is a win." We're on to Tollgate, and that's the only team in our sights right now, and we got to go 1 week at a time.
What can you tell us about Tollgate?
On film, they look like they're decent up front. Looks like they've got a good running back. Haven't seen too much yet. I got to dive into the Smithfield Tollgate film a little bit tonight and get ourselves ready for our film session tomorrow as a team. But every team looks extremely similar to us. It's Division 4, so you're gonna have some young kids out there, and it's usually the young kids that step up and make a play. That's the difference between a win and a loss. And as good as our top guys might have played last Friday against EWG, it was our little freshman that comes up with a fumble recovery and returns it back to midfield. He was out there starting at corner. Zach Kerrigan's little brother, Matty Kerrigan.
Oh yes, okay.
Give a shout out to him. He's been starting at corner with some guys being out and injuries and whatnot. He got the start this week, and sure enough, the ball finds him on a fumble recovery down about the 10, and he returns it all the way back to about the 50, and our sideline exploded, and we turned around and took that ball down and scored, and it kind of changed the game. So, it's not necessarily your studs all the time. It's the little freshmen that decide to have a big moment that can turn a game around for you.
No, right. And I was looking at top performers, and Wesley actually has number 12, Dan Cummins, that has 413 yards as a receiver, and he's running for the top. So you never know with the young guys, man. Give these guys a chance. Speranza at Wesley last year, that kid's huge.
We have
he's a
to
sophomore now.
give him a chance. We don't have a choice. So
Yeah, you guys don't, man.
If our young guys can show that they can play, we have to play them. In a perfect world, I'd love to develop them and keep them down on JV and let them work through some things, but we just have only so many guys that can play at the varsity level, and if you're a freshman and can kind of go out and hold your own, we're going to put you out there.
Absolutely, man. But Coach Paiva, thank you for your time. Appreciate it, man. Maybe we'll talk next week a little bit.
Absolutely.
Good luck going forward. And yeah, shout out to Matt Kerrigan. I actually reached out to him on Twitter, and I said if he's anything like his brother, he's gonna be one hell of a player, and he's gonna be going to a lot of camps.
Zach's gonna hate me for this. Maddie's better than Zach was as a freshman.
Shout out to Zach. I'm sure he's mature enough to say, you know what, good, the little brother, but I don't know. Big brothers don't like losing their stripes to the little brother.
And you got to give Zach a ton of credit. He's around our practices 3 or 4 times a week, and he's on our sideline on game days. And Zach's instrumental to what we do, and he's an unbelievable kid. And
will he be a coach one day in Smithfield?
I consider him a coach now. But yes, Zach will be on my coaching staff anytime he wants. All he's got to do is say, "Coach, I'm ready to coach," and Zach's on my staff. There's no questions asked. But
absolutely,
he comes out, he jumps right in, he talks kids up. It's been the nice thing about our practices this year, and I know Cade Curran from our Super Bowl team has been around practice 3 or 4 times a week. Josh Carafel from that same class is on our coaching staff. He helps coach the defensive backs. Dylan Bratcher, Tyler Bratcher's older brother, who was on some of those Super Bowl teams, is around practice. TJ Smith came back this year for a couple practices. At one point in one of our practices, we had like 7 former players at practice one day last week. And as a coach, that means the world to me that these guys still think that, it's a family and they're always welcome home. And we've had more alumni back on the field this year helping us out. And it's been special. So
how do the young kids feel about that? Do they recognize them?
They love it. They love it. I try to have guys wait until they don't have any more former teammates on the team. It takes a special kind of kid to be able to separate friendship and coach. So I try to wait that 3 or 4 year window to where they have no more teammates before I let them actively get in there coaching. But yeah, these guys hear all the stories, and they get excited to hear from them. And it means more coming from somebody who's done it not too long ago than an old guy like me trying to tell this guy to do it. When a kid who's 18, 19, 20, 21 years old comes out to practice and says, "Listen, I was in your shoes. I remember being small and undersized. I remember this is how we were taught to do it." It means more to those players. So it's been phenomenal having some of my former players around.
And recently, Barville was just mentioned in a lawsuit over their football field, and they're using testing that was done at your field about the PFAS. And like someone explained it to me, like the amount of PFAS like that's in a bottle of like Ajax is a lot more per millions than what they are talking about. This could hold up Barville's from having a football field for the next couple of years if this really goes deep into court.
It could.
Are you hearing anything about it? Because I know they use, I know that you guys were tested and they
A
said
little
something
bit.
about,
I know. I know one of our one we have two wells that supply water to the schools. Um, and the level was high in one of the two wells. Whether that's from the turf or whether that's from rainwater or whether that's from other things involved, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I have no idea.
right, man.
But I do know that in our case, our school department, our superintendent, they shut down the well that was running levels too high, and they drew more from the other well, and we've been in good standing ever since that. And they continue to do some research and they continue to do work on it. So I'm sure that
I'm
the
hearing the
folks.
per millions is so crazy. It's like, Brown University uses the similar material, Yale uses this the similar thing. And with them programs, if it had any possibly connection to cancer, I don't think they would be using them, and they say you would have to be eating the turf.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's been enough years of those materials being around and being tested to be able to conclude much of anything yet.
Yeah.
And in
Hopefully
another
this
10
lawsuit
years,
don't go.
yeah, in another 10 years, there'll be data from everywhere that you'll be able to pull from and say, yeah, all right, this is what's going on. But at this moment, I
And
don't
we're
know yet.
using data from 2014.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I haven't seen anything that's 2020 and above. And I just think that why would all these people be using this material if it did cause harm? And it's just the non-football people. But that lawsuit could really hurt that team, man, because they will not be able to finish construction on the field.
No, they've got their set up at Eccleston Field right now. I actually that's where I dropped my daughter off. She's coaching a cheer team there. So um she's I dropped her off at Eccleston Field. I was actually surprised. I forgot that their high school field was under construction.
Well, no offense, but Coach Ferraro, best coach in Rhode Island. Um, Shout out to
Get
him.
you get no argument from me.
But Coach Piper, man, thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks to your whole staff, all your players, and keep digging in.
Thanks, Mikey. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye bye. There's
All right, bye.
Coach Piper. There's Coach Piper doing his thing up there at North Smithfield. And he said, the crop of kids he gets, it's tough. It's tough to go on the field and be competitive week in, week out. But they do a hell of a job, him and his staff, man. But appreciate everybody, man. I'm not sure of anything I didn't touch on. Do we have to say pause? Like no Diddy, but another thing that we spoke about a couple of weeks back, Central Knights, with them building the shelter right across the street where the YMCA is there. Like you're spending all these hundreds of millions of dollars, man. Can we get a little piece of that and maybe help these guys build a field that they don't have to look across the street? You drive by the old YMCA any given day, it's like a tent city over there. I've seen people doing drugs as you drive by, right in the open. And I'm talking about you look right across the street from Classical Field and you can see the stuff going on. So can we build them a field or what? But it's crazy, man. More about the Barville situation. But shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to everybody. St. Ray's doing their thing. We'll see what they do. Division 2, you're looking like SK, Westerly, West Warwick look like some of the three of the better teams. We'll see what Coventry does. They have a freshman quarterback in Barrows that's coming up, and some people are calling to put him in now. Coach Alejandro is still gonna go with his quarterback Cam Jones. He has faith in Cam. So we'll see where he goes, man. But Jimmy Cook, man, like damn, you went up to Pano and they just opened a can of it on you. But steel shopping steel. Oh, and one other thing, UMass Dartmouth, man, statistically the number one football team in NCAA. So shout out to them. UMass Dartmouth. Let me see if I can find this other thing, and I'm gonna leave you with a little bit of the Central Knights documentary. You really want to go check that out. It's on Team Dolla. That's Dolla with an A, Dolla TV over on YouTube, and you can pick up one of the episodes. I think they're up to episode 4 or 5. We'll check out a little piece from episode 2, Wins and Losses.
Every game was a stepping stone to get to next week. We know that. All right? Now we know where we're at, fellas. Let's double down, man. Good shit, fellas. As long as, he can hand the ball off successfully, not fumble it, not forget his plays, I really think we should be fine. I'm going to see who you guys really are tomorrow. You guys going to be crying tomorrow because we can't fucking throw the ball, line, but we're going to dominate and take control of the game like I know we can. Again, we're going to run it 45 times. These linemen are going to be on the field all day tomorrow. Make it count. Make it worth something. We could do it. We already did it, right? Tomorrow, fellas, it's not going to be fancy. It's going to be old school downhill smash mouth football. Then we can figure out the fancy shit after that. We're on a losing streak right now. And for all my guys who was here with me last year, you guys know that feeling of being undefeated, of being the big dogs. Now that's just over. Now you got an opportunity to write a new story. Damn, that's the team that won that ran the table after their quarterback left, after they just lost against some bums. Damn. Since like that, it's a switch like that. Just turned it on and damn. Running through these teams. That's what I want to hear, man. That's what this type of group needs to be. We're not playing no snaps out here, man.
And that goes to right now, too. Can Central do it? Can Central be the team that just turns that switch on and gets it on and popping? But go check that out. Team Dolla, Dolla. Shout out to all the coaches, all the teams doing their thing, doing their diligence. But we out of here.
We don't do no talking. We know what they do for the view.